Okay, hello to whoever encounters this video. I like to express that I have been trafficked for a couple of years now, for 2 or 3 years, since the year of 2017, by a Grace Church Burleson and a Tracy Ryan and a Mark Hill. And I'll start from the beginning and I'll work my way up to it. In 2012, August 2012, I arrived at the church as a visitor. I did not join. Tracy Ryan was 18 years of age. Okay. She first assaulted me by kicking me, and she was acting real strange. About 2013, she allegedly married the youth pastor. Well and good. Don't care. Because he told me something different. And really, to be honest with you, I wouldn't say this, if he did not say that. And not that it's the most important thing. He said he was single. And he said he wasn't married. And his friend said he wasn't married. And I went to go look up the marriage license. There is no existence of any marriage license. But I'm just saying, I wanted to know why this woman felt jealous or tried to make it look like a love triangle. So this is 2013, so after 2013, I go somewhere else. And I want to fast forward to 2016. 2016, I left that place. I started receiving medical notices in the mail from Burleson, and I had been a volunteer, and I have never had an abortion. I've never been pregnant before, but I've had an unfertilized egg in my uterus. It was in a sac, a fluid-like sac, and it did attach to my uterus, and so and this was via sonogram from my endometriosis specialist. I've had endometriosis since 2011. I was diagnosed November 2011 through a laparoscopic surgery at JPS Hospital in Arlington, Texas. Not JPS Hospital, JPS Medical Facility in 2011 in Arlington, Texas. I was seeing my OB/GYN in Arlington. So I did have surgery. They went in 3 different ways: the camera, through the belly button, and then you have there's one right there in the lower right part of the abdomen, and then there's one on the they cut right there on the top part of the pelvic area, reproductive area. So I do have an actual diagnosis. So 2016, I leave. I'm about me. And then about 2017, I return to see what's, are they preaching something different? Then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, I go to a singles conference with the youth pastor. Again, he expressed that he was single. Okay, not that it's a big deal, but I was happy with my body. I'm happy with being small. Basically, after we returned back, Tracy, she tells his mother that we, did this and we did that. Whatever occurred on the trip occurred on the trip. Not a big deal. But basically, she's on the stage and I'm playing Candy Crush, and I sit there in the pew. Service was not going on. She's behind a piano. She steps from behind and she balls up her fist, ready to jump off the stage to fight me. And I see that, and I email the leadership. They did not return my call, or return my message, but I was like, I'm not into it, because everybody saw. Everybody was there. So at this point in time in 2017, I'm 24. Basically, I'm an adult. I expressed it, no, I'm not down to fight, not going to, I have no desire to. So around my birthday, which is May 20, 2017, I was rear-ended in a car accident. So I was injured, torn thoracics. I had a contusion. I think it's lateral contusions, and torn thoracics. So I had big headaches and nosebleeds, and I had a jammed up left side. And basically, I visited. Again, this Tracy walks behind me and was bucking at me. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, is this still going on? You know? And I expressed it to the youth pastor, and come to find out, Tracy goes to his dad, and he gets on stage. He was like, somebody's, disrespecting somebody's wife. And I was like, who is he talking about? And then Jonathan announces something, and then I was like, oh my gosh, because she was bucking at me, and he announces this, and I said, she's trying to assault me, and she announced that she's possibly pregnant. So note this: somebody's trying to fight you, and they announce that they're possibly pregnant, and they're still trying to fight you after this. Do they or do they not care about their unborn child? Because if you hit somebody, you cannot expect somebody to sit there and not defend themselves or to block. But basically, you're trying to take my life in a sense, because I've said, and I did note that I did have an accident to him, that I did not feel well. So you're trying to possibly take my life by fighting me while you're, possibly pregnant, because it's capital murder if the infant was to die. And the person knew that the person was pregnant. It's like an act of negligence. So neglectful death of said infant if there was a fight. But I do want to note that in 2016, when I left, I happened to see this Tracy at a Chick-fil-A in my town, Fort Worth. And she's with a different man. It wasn't the youth pastor. So when I saw her, she balls up her fist, and the guy asks, do you know this girl? Or do you know this woman? She just sits there like, like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so this was outside of the church. So I felt alert when she kept trying to fight me to notify. I first talked to the law enforcement in my town. He said she would have to touch me before they could do anything. I spoke to the youth pastor in 2017 because she was still trying to fight me. And that's when she retaliated. I never mentioned her name, and I do have copies of that. And I'm going to get to my reasoning of why I'm saying this. I left that day. I was not upset, was not angry. I went home. I am a Christian woman. I believe in celebrating Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which is a total of 10 days on one and then like 23 days on another. And so I fasted and prayed. So during the day, I slept, and when I did not have my physical therapy. So this is 2017, and so I had physical therapy from June all the way to July, early September. I had an accident where I was rear-ended, and if you have an accident, you can't litigate until after your treatment is done. So I'm all banged up, can't do anything. Basically, I fasted and I prayed during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So during the days, I slept, and then night, I woke up. Usually if you sleep during the day because you're exhausted and you work out during physical therapy, your water bed, your TENS system and such. And I ate at night. I didn't eat during the day. I ate at night during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. The typical, the typical practice is to eat vegetables and fruit and water and drink water, nothing added like seasoning or butter. And it's not a secret. Usually you'll see in Israel the apples and honey. I'm not ashamed of it, but I was attacked by Mark Hill for claiming that I don't eat and that I don't sleep and such, and that I had a problem. I did not express to him at any point in time of me being any type of mental health patient or on the run from the law. After I was about to come into some money from this car accident, my family began to attack me, which I did not have anybody else to tell. You know, my family was attacking me and all this craziness. Come to find out, and I will get to this point. And I wasn't there at the church for about 3 months, so I did not return until about December 2017. So this whole time I wasn't there. But then all of a sudden I get pulled over by the state trooper, and somebody named Tracy Ryan gets like a speeding warning in my name on my driver's license. Then I end up getting a ticket, having to spend out money. And no point in time, I never asked them for money or anything like that. And then I have to pay out $150. And so during this time between July 2017 and December 2017, this Tracy went to my associates and my friends and my family and defames me, and then she says I was dying, and so they even had like this sympathy thing, and they started being sad, and they started asking, is everything okay? How are you feeling health-wise? And I'm like, what's going on? And there's other people angry. There's other people angry, trying to fight me. One guy had a gun, and it was just scary. And really, to be honest with you, the problem is that they were referring, and this was day after day. Then they started flipping things about. I'm just saying, you know, that has nothing to do with me, you know. But to accuse somebody of child kidnapping, and I'll get to my proof, is wrong, and I'm an androgynous African-American woman, you know, and it's dangerous, and I can't stay in my house 24/7, you know, and just at this time I'm looking for work, and basically, I work on and off because I go to Texas Wesleyan. I'm a political science with law major. I'm a senior. This is my senior. I have about 3 classes left. I first studied arts, then I studied information technology, and then I also studied criminal justice, and then I went to political science with law. So my first choice also was architecture with interior design, so arts. That was UTA, my first choice, but then I said, because I graduated cum laude from O.D. Wyatt High School in 2009, 1 year early, and I felt like it was just, I just felt like I wasn't ready to be out on my own as a minor. It's big and scary to be away from home. So I went to Tarrant County College straight after I graduated. So graduated in June 2009. About a week or 2 later, 6 weeks later, I was enrolled in my summer courses at Tarrant County College, and I went year round. So summer, fall, spring, summer, but I was off in the winter times. And basically, and somebody began calling my phone, and I wasn't sure, because I feel like they would leave a message if it was that important, because it was just so many calls. I was not sure. And in January 2018, I complained about somebody trying to commit fraud while I was trying to pay the rent, you know, at Walmart. But then also I was at my job skill course, and I was accused of possibly attempting to burn down a church and shoot a pastor. And I have a copy of that email where I was expressing that freaked me out because I saw it on the news as I was studying about ministry. That I was like, I'm afraid to do ministry because somebody shot up a church. And this I was expressing to the youth pastor because he was helping me, learn about ministry and go with ministry. He's encouraging me. And I also built a blog. He was telling me how to do it. And so I have a copy of that. And so Mark went in his email and misinterpreted. And so then I went to my youth pastor in 2018, 2017, and they had a youth night with Nerf guns. And so it's like they look like water guns, and we were playing around. And you can't take pictures of someone else's children by law. And I was like, I'm having a great time. We're playing Nerf Wars. These are what these things look like. I've never seen them before. Where do you buy them at? I'm excited. This is cool, And all of a sudden, these people show up in this illegal sting operation from Burleson. I live in Fort Worth, saying that I threatened to burn down a church, and it was not truthful. I had knowledge that there might have been some retaliation due to Tracy doing something to somebody, and they had already attacked me. And so I had knowledge of this, and I said, well, perhaps since they thought Tracy was me and they went online, all this other stuff, I said, well, if they're going by a look, I said, well, the youth pastor might need to hear about this, or his life might be online because it's referencing him. And I said, I don't care if the church is burned down, please save your life. That does not indicate that I want to burn down a church. That does not indicate I want to shoot up a pastor. And so then they picked me up for my job skill course, and I'm taken to the 10th floor of JPS. And there's no reasoning. I just spoke, and I'm a little bit poetic. Again, I'm still healing from the car accident. So my umbilical is open. I'm also a trauma victim from Tracy trying to fight me and pulling a weapon on me. So my umbilical gland is open. I am a client of One Safe Place, trauma victim. So they kept pushing trauma on me, and they picked me up from counseling. So the moment I was talking to my counselor about what can I do about somebody attacking me, because she initially went into my bank and stole $1,500. I was told by my father that they came by, and I have a text message where they were saying, he said that I needed to sew. I said, what? They wanted money. So then Tracy took it upon herself to just take it. So in a week, $1,500 went missing from the front and the back because I put money in my savings account, and I don't have auto draft. So my money does not automatically draft to my checking account from my savings. So that's how I knew. And then during the time that the money came up missing, it said the wetlands, which is in Houston, but nobody could get in or out in Houston because it was flooded. And this whole time, I'm unaware that I wasn't supposed to be at the church. Nobody notified me. Nobody told me anything. There was never any fight. Actually, the church is in, I learned this from somebody else, it's an eminent domain or foreclosure due to something that Tracy was doing. Because she has a history of violence. She fought the nursery worker. The nursery worker was African American. She would be there with her mother. Their names are both Joy. She fought Joy, and I learned this from my grandmother's friend, Miss Shirley Williams. Her granddaughter, Melissa Williams, is a young lady that I used to speak to and mentor. She told me that she was basically assaulted by Tracy in the Lyft singles thing sometime back. But this whole time, there was supposed to be a problem between me and Tracy, but we've never been in the same service. So she would attend the first service, I would attend the second service, and I would usually be late, about 30 minutes late. And then we've never been, she's usually in the youth hall, so I'm not in the youth hall, so we've never had a proximity. But think the moment I saw her trying to fight me, she retaliated, things escalated so far. And if I speak about something like that and you escalate it up to police and swarming and doormen, something's wrong with that person, not me. Because they pulled me over saying that I was brandishing a pistol. I don't own a pistol. And they, did all this stuff to me. Basically, at this time, I was enlisting into the U.S. Armed Forces, and I do have my contract. I really do. Anyway, basically, in 2018, Tracy filed a fake charge against me at One Safe Place, at a domestic violence place. Trying to say that I beat my mother, but it wasn't. It was my cousin. And I was at work that day. I have check stubs and GPS location. So it flipped to like a false report, but I had got put out of the town of Burleson. So if I'm put out of the town of Burleson and you escort me out, how did I come? I did not call and report anything. I did not file anything. So they pulled me over saying I was armed and dangerous and selling drugs. I was on the way to my doctor's visit, and I just turned in my scholarship at Texas Wesleyan. I was on my way also to my recruiter's office to enlist in the U.S. Navy Reserve. And they all of a sudden do a sting operation, and they just pull me over. And they almost break my hand, and they claim that I did a false report of child neglect, child abuse, and with intent to kidnap. And the problem is there's no report. I never reported anything. They never had any paperwork. It's been almost a year. And they had no reasoning to call me. So this Tracy, she keeps calling me. And these liaison people, or Marlene, whoever it is, keeps calling me. And in July 2018, they claimed they were building some case against me, and they claimed that it was wrong for me to express my First Amendment right, which is freedom of speech, to tell people what they did to me. And I'm over here, and you're calling me, and you call me all nights an hour from your personal phone, and I don't care. And I'm in fear of my life. I filed a restraining order in the Fort Worth PD. I filed a non-retaliation order. And you're calling me, you already did this to me. So after that, I see that there's no report because I didn't file anything. They didn't even take a statement. Usually if you file some type of report, they would have to contact you and take a statement. And also, they wouldn't be at your family's house and all this and taking false statements and saying probable cause. So probable cause of a false report, meaning we thought you made the report. They didn't have an ID card. They didn't have a driver's license. No, my driver's license is not expired or anything like that. And they didn't have a social security number. They didn't have anything. It was just blank. And so then they claimed that I did all this stuff, and they claimed that I had just left Burleson, but I was traveling west. I had just left school, and I had went to my counselor's office for my FAFSA to turn in my scholarship paper so I could get extra money so I can graduate. I was supposed to have been graduating this past May 2019 with my bachelor's in science. I call it my BS in degree. Political science, I chose political science because it's a liberal arts degree. It does not limit me in the study of political science. It actually expands my opportunities to earn income and to have a proper career. Basically, all I'm saying is, I'm taking my charger out. Basically, liberal arts is good for anybody. If you, because some people don't even go into the field that they study. Like they study for business, and then they end up being a teacher. So I did not limit myself. So I left myself room to move and maneuver depending on the economy, depending on the job market, which is a very good move. And yes, I do know Mr. Scott Murray. That is my colleague. That is my friend. And yes, he is a man with integrity. He was from Fox 4. He told me to come my business plan. And he knows some people that would possibly be interested in my foundation for the study of endometriosis and the cure and treatment of endometriosis. That is my passion. I am a survivor for endometriosis. I have endometriosis, so if I did not eat and everything else like that, the effects would be horrible. So I had one surgery. Anyway, that I mean, there's people out there that's willing to do business with me and offer me a check. So that is wonderful. Lucky me. I looked up, but to try to have me arrested for intent to kidnap a child, and it wasn't any report. There's no report number. It was blank, and from the way it looks, it says a call, like a call. Never called. My number and email and everything like that is blocked from even speaking to the police department. So I did not make anything. I could not call to make any type of statement or anything. Basically, I was not in Burleson. I was in Fort Worth. I am not from Burleson. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, at Arlington Memorial. Basically, I'm an honor student. I started Montessori at the age of 3. In school, I've been reading since the age of 2. I've been speaking since the age of 1, and a few months later, like about 9 months. Basically, somebody does that to you and says you intend to kidnap, and then they almost broke my hand. I am in fear of my life. You don't know how cold it was in that icebox. You don't know how sick I got. They have no legal right to speak to me without my attorney. But come to find out, the moment I enlisted, the U.S. military picked it up. There was nothing there. And so everything was done. But then they tried to refile it. So that's what happened. And then my recruit, and then they tried to post-date it. So the moment they fixed it, they tried to refile it with the FBI. So first it was like with once they placed, then it shifted to the FBI. So that's how I know they tried to refile it, because it shouldn't be in 2 different places, for one thing, which is the truth. And then it wasn't in Burleson, it was in Cleveland. I hadn't even been to Cleveland. I had never spoke to them. Okay? Basically, you can't call anybody, or anything like that. So like I said, it's been almost a year and nothing's there. And I didn't file anything. I filed an order of restraint because I don't want to deal with that. I moved on, really. And I went to counseling, and that's where they picked me up. And so I began to speak about it online because my family ostracized me, believing them. And I just want to say, a preacher is just a man. A preacher is no better than a bum on the street. You understand? I treat everybody equally. An apostle is just a disciple of Christ, follower of Jesus, a teacher. In a ministry board, the apostle will be the first in leadership. And yes, I am an apostle, but it's not, I would have to go to ministry school like I'm about to do. I would have to have my bachelor's degree and everything, my ministry registration card. And that would be at the age of 50, where I could appropriately call myself an apostle, because African American people do not allow you to call yourself an apostle in your youth. And yes, I operate under the title of a prophetess. I do Bible study only, and I pray. And I do not degrade people's ministry. And they try to make it to be out of a jealousy of a baby and a love triangle. But this was about an entity, a church staff member, because it happened on church grounds, nowhere else. Then I didn't have a car, so they claim I was stalking this person. Where's the vandalism? Where's any type of evidence of that? So there, I wasn't there, and I was working. They even called up to my job and got me fired at Kincaid's. So the police did come in, and the police observed me, and they looked at me and said, "Wait, like, I feel like, because the U.S. Navy is prestigious, we are different, and basically, I'm not acting out or misconduct. I'm just sitting online talking about what they did to me." And they claim it was crazy, and I was talking about a Walgreens being robbed, and saying, me speaking, for certain people. I wasn't talking about any of this. It's Tracy. So they try to relate themselves to me. But basically, it was really bad. In the year 2017, I found out that I had been poisoned as well. So I'm not paranoid. I was urinating blood, and I could not breathe. And then I was constantly defecating and kind of falling out. Found out that I was indeed poisoned, so they gave me a pump to help me breathe and breathing treatments. They did not give me any type of antibiotic or anything like that. So it was not an infection of kidney or liver. So after all this happened, my eye color kind of changed a little bit due to the accident, and then me being poisoned. So my eyes look a little bluish gray right now, hazel. Basically, again, in 2018, you don't know what happened. They try to break my hand. So you keep calling somebody, and I'm in fear of my life, because somebody indeed broke in, because they stole my mom's towels and dishes. We did not give the authorization for that. I don't bother nobody. I'm sweet as apple pie. I kid you not. I'm not violent. Me and this Tracy, we never had a fight. And I'm going to get to reasons why I'm doing this. So then they were calling me, and I was afraid. And so my recruiter was questioning me, interrogating me at the time. And I was like freaking out, because come to find out they had put something, again, broke in, put something in my water, and my breast size also changed. And so not only was I being interrogated by my recruiter because they did something wonky by refouling something, and then I was poisoned again, once again. And then they were calling, and my recruiter would call, then I was trying to tell my recruiter, these people are calling me, these are traffickers, because according to the military, identity theft is human trafficking. And again, there is no reason why Tracy felt in fear of her life when we're nowhere around each other. And I never even mentioned her name, but yet she started to mimic what I was saying that was happening to me, and that's how I found out. I tried to stop it, and I wasn't paranoid. This stuff actually was happening, and you can't go to police every single day. I'm just saying, eventually it gets old, and you can't run down everybody, and you can't get every name. Basically, Tracy was calling the police constantly, and they were swarming all over the neighborhood and around, circulating the church, because I passed by like, what's going on? And come to find out, she was saying that I was coming up there, that my family's the mafia, coming up there with weapons. They even bought bulletproof vests. I never even mentioned anything like that. It's strange. And so, about 2019, I finally meet Dr. Khan, because I shouldn't have never been there. Simply because I have a order of restraint, and you're calling me, I'm being interrogated by a recruiter, all this other stuff. And basically, stuff was being shifted around my house, and I just didn't say anything. And I also ended up finding that somebody left others type stuff in my house. I don't know how. And basically, Tracy called in her family. I didn't call anybody. My family's not speaking to me. Tracy called in about 200 people, and they came outside of Burleson, and they began to attack me. During this time, my mom's Pontiac, the tires got slashed. Other things happened. So I'm one woman against a large group of people. This liaison team, whoever French, is not an actual officer, because I checked, because I called. French is not on the liaison team, and she's not associated with Burleson. She's also changed her name. She's on a different division for PD, and I contacted them because it was so much information that I had, and I'm just trying. They started an investigation immediately. They never had any badges, never had any paperwork. So usually, and they had no calls. So usually, if something has happened, you have to have a paperwork. You have to have proof. You can't just say probable cause every time, and you cannot just go to somebody's house and show up unannounced. And the big guy, he forced his way into my house. I thought he was a detective from Fort Worth PD. So that's how. And then all of a sudden they kept saying, what do you know about biblical marriage and marriage? And then they claim I don't remember. But if they have to tell you not to tell me what they're accusing me of, or if they have to say don't tell her anything, or that I don't remember, and the thing is, they accuse me of drugs, they accuse me of prostitution, they accuse me of being retarded, of all these things. I should have immediately been sent home. And basically, I enlisted in the U.S. Navy Reserve October 22nd, 2018. I'm a gunner's mate that's guarding missiles and torpedoes, and yes, I do teach weaponry. But that does not mean I have guns. You cannot operate without permission. So none of this should happen. So even after I leave Dr. Khan, they kept calling me. And Dr. Khan, hi. I do want to inform you. And this is if they, that's why I said hi, if they do show you this video. One of the judges, Dr. Quentin McGowan, is my professor at Texas Wesleyan University. He is my LSAT teacher. So, indeed, he already knew me. He knew my character. He already knew what was going on, if anything. And I was just like, this is what they're trying to do to me. And he asked me to keep it separate. But he does know my character. He does know that, no, I'm not retarded. No, I'm not on drugs or anything like that. But he had to review. So he did keep that separate. So they tried to say that I was delusional, that I was making everything up. If you go to Texas Wesleyan and you're in the pre-professional program, you're bound to meet anybody. You're bound to meet, you're bound to meet the mayor. You have to network and be connected. You have to be sociable. I'm a social butterfly. Basically, I am a public speaker. I did speak out against human trafficking. It was my homework assignment. I'm not obsessed with trafficking. I'm not. I just noticed that that's what was happening to me. So basically, there's no reason for any of this to happen. Basically, it is illegal to observe somebody, and it's illegal to constantly call me and try to say that it's inappropriate for me to tell what people say or have done to me. Because I blocked everybody, it's not offensive. I'm just saying, this happened to me, getting it off my chest. And I haven't had any contact with this person. And you can't make me move on until I'm ready to move on. I journal. And I just don't like to be bothered. I'm not jealous or anything like that. But I do have messages where the youth pastor, he did not ask me to leave. He wanted me to stay. I was like, you sure? Because he's never treated me like that. I mean, we were close. I have nothing against him. He's not in fear of his life with me. Usually if I have an issue with somebody, but it's mainly Tracy. She was the only one I had an issue with out of the whole church. Basically, he handled it. Whatever he said to her, she went on a warpath. Because he does not speak to her nicely, but he treats me sweet. He used to touch on my boobs and my backside, right in front of Tracy, in front of church. And so, but either way, there's no reason to do all of this hoopla. There's no reason to do all of this. If I just email, how was an email make you in fear of your life? And why do you think you get to call somebody? Why do you get to pull a weapon on somebody? How is it that you think you're going to run up on somebody? And in the past, there was dead snakes left on my porch, frogs, and everything else. So I'm in fear of my life. I contacted the human trafficking unit. They accepted what I said immediately. They put it in an investigation. And I also saw some other things to further help the investigation, because had I not said anything extra and presented this, they would have just said, this, and that. I'm not from Burleson. I never lived in Burleson. I've never been homeless. I'm not going to be homeless. I work 7 days a week, not to pay for my vehicle or anything else. I have my own place somewhere in the globe. So I just happen to be visiting my mom. These people claim I did all this crazy stuff and that it was violent. And the only thing I'm doing is speaking on Facebook and saying, hey, please stop attacking me. So all this extra stuff is them making it up. And so there's no reason why my family ostracized me or said that I was too Christian, and come to find out, Mark somehow followed me there, and my family was offended. Mark Hill is not a registered pastor. He is not an apostle. Usually in ministry, this is not what goes on. And this is not any help for ministry. My ministry is not in any prison or anything like that. My life is my ministry. I love philanthropy. I love helping people. I love being nice to people. The reason why I am not in Chicago right now is due to somebody actually post-dating and refiling something, and then some other things. I did not fail anything. I processed all the way through. Basically, I mean, I just can't believe this has happened. This has never happened to me. Me and my mom, sometimes we don't get along, but basically, that's my mom, and I was told we should get counseling. So I was like, I'm willing to do anything, because my mom fell and bumped her head on the towel rack, and she had a bruise there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm worried about my mom, and my family had received word from Mark, so they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't do anything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Mom, what's going on? And there's no reason why all this happened. And so I would get to places, and Mark and Tracy and these liaisons would have defamed me. And I don't live like I'm in a warfare or anything like that. Basically, I'm not paranoid about what's going. Being paranoid is about something that might happen and might not happen. No, this is stuff that happened to me in the past. It just shouldn't have happened. So after the poisoning, somebody did put something in my water. Unfortunately, because I wasn't looking, I wasn't paying attention. So kind of like a roofie. My eyes changed colors, but it did not affect my vision. I do have 20/20 sight. I have the ability to have my own children through pregnancy in my womb, but I'm not jealous of Tracy at all. She does not do anything. So she really did not graduate from college nor high school. I learned this from my friend Melissa, that she was put out of her high school for violently fighting somebody. They would just sit there and let her beat on them, and she was in juvenile and Millwood. And so she's like a female Michael Myers, and she is known for carrying a pistol. I did my own research because to why this was happening. Basically, I never posted anything about her online, but I did tell people who she was and this church, and I couldn't understand why. Because when I come in, I dress really pretty. I'm going to include this in the video of what I look like when I go to church. I look really pretty. And I'm 27 now, and Tracy is about 3 years younger than me. So in 2012, she was 18. And so it's 2019, so that's 7 years, so maybe like 24, 25. But this shouldn't have ever happened. And that's just the truth. And I heard that they kept coming, trying to say this, and that. And if I did anything, different stuff like this would not be happening the way it is. And you can't say that I had a whole bunch of this. I don't have any history of that. And so that's why I'm like, please stop messing with me. Something's going on with my mom and my family. And that's it. If you have something going on at home, please stop bothering me. Please stop trying to fight me. I left. You sent me this letter. And basically, you put me out of your church. And then you had everybody to put me out. You had the police force to put me out of your town. They won't speak to me, so I didn't file anything. Anyway. And you can't just put a name on anything and say, well, we thought it was you. And basically, I haven't even been there, but yet you say I'm there. So that's why I'm saying this is wrong. And basically, I'm thinking about this. I was more concerned about my mom than anything. And then my family was accusing me of all this stuff, feared my life, because I was about to get some money. But that's the truth.